All right, hi you guys, this is Angie with Beauties and the Bigfoot, and I'm doing something a little bit different today. I had planned on doing a walk today, and I always tell them that I'm coming and ask permission to film them and just communicate, letting them know what I'm doing. And today I was told when I went to go in the area, no, do not come today. So I turned my car around and I came back home. So I had some things I wanted to discuss anyway. As you can see, I'm getting a fire going here. And then I'm gonna take you guys and we'll go back over to my normal seat. But I thought this would be a nice thing to do today on this chilly, snowy day. So anyway, I was watching another Forest People person channel, Chuck Jacobs from Arizona, who I absolutely love, who have sent a bunch of you guys over to my channel, which I appreciate that. And this just made me have more of a thing to do this talk, which I've been wanting to do for a little bit, but I just haven't had a chance. And he was mentioned in one of his videos, the fact that the shape-shifting. And okay, the shape-shifting is so interesting to me because I've been noticing some more and more weird occurrences happening around on my property. And way back in the beginning, after I started having contact with a little one called Olaf, there was this black cat that showed up. And this black cat had green eyes, but it didn't have any irises. It was just a solid green eyeball. Or pupil, I'm sorry, it had just irises. It didn't have a pupil. So I'm looking at this cat, and this cat when it seen me, when I went out into Olaf's playground, it was so excited. And it came running up to me, but it only came so far. And I believe I talked about this in a previous video way back when. I'm not sure which one it was. But this cat was so excited to see me. And it would come up so far and then it would stop. It reminded me of a little kid. You know, a little kid jumping up and down when they see somebody that they love or that they like. So I thought, wow, that's kind of an odd behavior. I wonder if that's Olaf. And then I'm looking at this cat and I'm like, why doesn't that cat have pupils? There's no slit. There's no dot. There should be a pupil because it's in the woods in his playground and there's not light in here. So there should be a pupil trying to bring some light in, but there wasn't. So it came up so far and it just sat there and just stared at me. And then when I went to go and touch it, it ran away so quick. And then it like changed its mind and it came back a little bit and then it ran away again. Always constantly talking, constantly making a meow. So I thought, oh my God, I wonder if that's Olaf and if they can shapeshift. So then I caught this cat just sitting in the field. I was out on the north side of the property doing something, and this cat was just in the field, and it was just laying there staring at me, just watching. I mean, I was going east and I was going east and I was going west, and the cat never moved. It just sat there and watched what I was doing. It was different. I want to say weird, but if it was a cat, that was a weird cat behavior, because cats don't generally act like that. Especially when you turn and you talk to it. It'll usually run away or something. So I saw this black cat for probably like a year and a half. And it would come and it would go, and it'd be long periods of time when I wouldn't see it. So then, this past, it must have been fall, I'm out in the back and I'm back by the semi, and I always go in there and check around, and it's obvious that something has been in there laying in the straw because there's round beds made in there. So the one time I go out there, and I don't know if I was cutting a path, I'm not sure exactly what I was doing, but I had just come in through the path and was in the opening where I have the gifting table for the food. And this cat jumps down. And this cat is brown. And it's got like a fuzzy, bearded like face. And I thought, is that a little bobcat? That almost looks like a little bobcat. But it had stripes on it, like a tiger cat, one of those striped cats, I don't know what they're called, that you see. So I'm just like looking like this at this cat, and this cat is looking at me, and then it ran away. And I thought to myself, I wonder if that's another Bigfoot, and if it's one of the brown ones from across the street, because it's not the black cat that has been hanging around here, which I have not seen the black cat, but I have seen cat tracks this summer everywhere. I mean, this year, my yard, this is my third year here, this is the first time that I have had this many tracks in not the part of the yard closest to the wood line, but the middle part and the south part, 2 parts, because they're separated by a tree line. My yard is separated into sections. It's weird. But closest to the house, there's a few tracks, and then there's tracks everywhere in the side yard, and then that second back part of the yard. And then there's a track line coming up the north part of the property. And there's cat tracks. There's what I'm assuming are coyote tracks, because I know there were coyotes back there because I heard them. And I've heard them several times. I haven't heard them in probably maybe 3 weeks. I'm not sure exactly how long, but it's been a minute. But you can tell they're pretty good size tracks. So, and there's deer tracks out there, and there's rabbit tracks out there, and there are raccoon or skunk tracks. I'm not sure what the difference is between the tracks. But, and then the other thing that's been happening, which also makes me wonder about the shape-shifting, is hearing the footprints. I have gravel on the back part of my house. It's like that pea gravel, and it's like a landscaping thing, and somebody had put mulch over it, and I pulled all the mulch out. And my idea was to make it all plants, so it's just all filled in, so all I have to do is rake the leaves out. Excuse me, and I don't have to worry about raking mulch out of the way, and I can just get the leaves out that way because it's a tree lot, so there's a lot of leaves. So I hear the bipedal footsteps, the crunch, the crunch, the crunch. I hear other tracks, crunch, 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 crunch. So I can tell the difference between the sounds of the 2 tracks. Well, I heard the tracks this morning out in the snow crunching. So I look outside, and there's nothing out there. There is nothing out there. So then when I go outside to warm my car up in my garage is detached. After I warmed the car up, I went over there and I looked for tracks, and there's no tracks. And it was freshly fallen snow. I waited until the snow stopped, and there are no tracks out there. And the other thing that happened was these cat tracks head across the street, and then they come back this way. So it's the same path that's always taken. And these cat tracks came up the north side of my house and went to the window where I leave the TV on, and they stopped. There were no more tracks leaving that spot, and these were cat tracks. So I'm like, where did the cat go? You know, and again, that makes me think about the shape-shifting, and it leads me to believe that they cannot go into cloaking form when they're in the form of another animal. So if they shape-shift into another animal, then they cannot cloak, because you can see the tracks of the animal and then it stops. So that made me think that they shifted back into their regular form, and then they went into cloaking, because when they cloak, they don't usually leave footprints. I believe the footprints are left when they're in solid form. So they have to be solid when they're leaving that footprint, and then go into cloaking form or go into other dimensions wherever they portal through. So now that's just me thinking, only because of what I have observed on my own property. So somebody was asking on Chuck Jacobs' channel about the shape-shifting, and I just got done watching 2.5 of his videos. So I thought, oh, that goes along perfect with what I wanted to talk about. Eventually, I was going to do the walk through video at the location number 4, but like I said, I was told don't go. So if I'm told don't come, I don't come. And I think a lot of that is because January and February, from the information that I have gathered, are their birthing times. And not all of them will give birth in the same year. I believe it's every 4 years that they come into a cycle, and then 8 or 9 months later they have their babies. So July and August. Yeah, so July and August are their breeding times from what I'm told and the information that I have. But what would be interesting to find out is if in January and February, if those are the major times when the dogs disappear, or any other kind of predator would disappear, because I'm told when their females get ready to give birth, then the males will come in and they just clear anything that can harm these babies out. So another thing that happened, there was a lot that happened. I didn't even write a lot of it down, and I should have, so I didn't forget it. But the other thing that happened was, well, 2 things actually. A male came in And as I was mind speaking to him, and I think this was the second time that I was told this, and I can't remember who the other one was right now, but I asked, did he have a mate? And he said, yes. And I said, is your mate with you? And he said, no, my mate is helping with a birth. So the females, from what I'm being told, do help the other females with their births. The births are not where they go off by themselves and just give birth by themselves. The other female forest friends are on the ready and involved in the birth itself. So, Peppers wants to say hi. So that was interesting, and I can't remember what the other thing, and that went along with me thinking and putting together that they give birth in January and February, or even maybe into March. So, which coincides with the baby that was born. Was it last year or the year before? Must have been, I don't remember if it was last year. It was one of, was Javi's granddaughter. And that was he has 2 children, an oldest daughter and then the little one, Olaf. So that coincided with that. And the last thing that happened was, I had to mind speak last night from Olaf, and he was very happy, he was having a good time, and he said, my friend Miles is here. Well, Miles is one of the ones from up north at my lake house that I had contact with. So I started talking to Olaf, and I started talking to Miles. And then this male voice came in and said, do not talk to him. And I said, okay, I'll stop. But just to let you know, when I was up at the lake house, I have already talked to Miles. Miles made contact with me when I was up there. So just to let you know, I will not talk to him anymore right now, but I have talked to him before. And he said, oh, okay. So it's just they're so protective and they're so loving. And then it was okay for me to talk to Miles, but I don't remember if I said anything after that. I think him and Olaf just went their own way. But the thing that's interesting that I noticed is with my interactions with Olaf and actually seeing him the 3 or 4 times, they give their little ones a lot of freedom. And I am thinking that because of the telepathic connection that goes on, that they're able to do that because they can watch them, be connected with them through this mind speak that they do. So they're not, as they get older, they can let them explore a little more without worrying a whole lot. And not to mention, when they want to, the times I've seen them, they've been moseying, just moseying along. But when they want to, boom, they can be where they are in an instant. They can be extremely fast. So, and that I experienced also the fastness. The first experience that I had with them was that whistle that woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's, the more you know, the more you don't know. It raises questions, and it's all just very interesting and very fascinating. And I do always, when I'm told don't go into an area, just like I said, I turned my car around and I came home, because I think that's part of the reason that I have the experiences that I have with them, and the relationship that I have with the ones that live around me, is because of that respect. You have to, and it doesn't even, I just say, okay, and I just don't go, or I turn around. Like I said, I was in my car, I was fully dressed, had everything ready, and it was just not today. But he did make sure to tell me when he said, don't come here, not today. So, because in my mind, I was thinking, for just today, or you don't want me to come back there forever? Because I've been coming back there for a minute, and are you a new person that took over this territory, or what is going on? But it was just not for today. So I don't know what they had going on in that area. And I could have gone to a different area, but I was like, it's gonna start snowing and the roads are gonna get slick, so I'll just turn around and go home. And the snow, it wasn't, we got more this morning than we did just a little bit ago. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about and discuss, because it was very interesting to me how these synchronicities have all been coming up. And I'm gonna have to check my Ring doorbell, but my Ring doorbell has gone off in the back, and I've checked the video footage and nothing was there. And it has, a top to bottom view of everything, and I can scroll it to see, side to side. So it gives me a pretty good view, but there was nothing. So it was, and I think that was probably a cloaked moment maybe or something. But hearing the footprints, and then today, and I imagine it was just Olaf showing off today, when I was out in the garage, I had to add windshield wiper fluid to my car. So I was doing that, and I heard a woohoo, and I said, thank you, and I shut my trunk, and then I went out and I looked, and of course, they can be hiding in plain sight in the physical, and you won't see them, let alone when they do that, when they're cloaked, and you'll never see them unless you see, the waves, which you really have to train your eyes to do that. And sometimes you're in a hurry and you just don't have a chance to stare and focus to be able to see those wavy lines, like the heat coming off the concrete. So that's been a little bit of what's been going on. And there was one house bang, and that was during the daytime, and that was after I came, I haven't had a house bang in a long time, which I'm fine with, but the roads were all ice, and was that the beginning of last week? It must have been. And the roads were all ice, and by the time I was home from work, and I deliver the mail, so I'm driving on this ice, and sometimes you're just exhausted because you're creeping and you're trying to, I have 6 to 10 foot ditches on both sides of the road on 1, 2, 3 of my roads. So it can be quite nerve-wracking at a time. So I came home and I was wrecked. I was done. It's stressful. And you're starting and you're stopping, so it's not, you're sliding, so it's not like you're going at a steady pace, and you can just, because you have to start, you have to stop. So anyway, I got home, and they can feel, this just proved to me that they can feel when you're not in the right state or the normal state, or you're stressed out. Because I walked in, I was in, where was I? Was I in my room? Or was I in the front? You know what? I don't remember exactly where I was at. It was either in my room or it was in the front. I think I had just sat down on the couch, now that I'm thinking back, because it came from where he sits when he watches TV in the front of the house. There's a little area he can sit there, and he can also look in the front window and watch TV. So that is where it came from. Bam. You know, as soon as I sat on the couch, bam, on the side of the thing. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, because it's kind of still daylight out here, and that usually doesn't happen until it's dark out. But there again, they can be clumped and nobody will ever see them. So it's just, they're fascinating. And the gifting site that I gifted them for, what do we have, Martin Luther King Day, was just, I think the raccoons got the brownies, and I forget the other two things that I put out there, but the other two things that I put out there, the wrappers and the containers were nowhere around, so I'm assuming that the Forrest family got that and took it somewhere else, because the brownie container was left right there. So, all right, you guys, we will talk to you soon, and I will try and get out there and video some more walks a little bit. It's just been, it's hard to get out there and do that at this time. So, all right, you guys have a great Sunday night. And thank you, oh, before I forget, thank you for subscribing to my channel, and all those of you that have joined me. I appreciate it, and for your kind and thankful comments. And if you guys have any stories that you'd like to email me, I'll be glad to read them on the air. And when you're watching any of my walkthroughs, if you guys see anything that is in the background that maybe I won't catch, because I do go through the videos to see if I can see anything in the background, leave me a comment with a timestamp if you can, and I will check it out, and I'll try to screenshot it and put it up on the community page. All right, you guys, thanks.